Hi guys, week 4-ish are improvising, and we are moving into Warrior Series, which is exciting. We're going to learn more. So again, if you didn't do last week or the week before, you might want to just catch up and practice those, which is a really nice bonus to having these on, having them at your disposal. Anyhow, we're going to talk about pain and suffering and the differences this week. So I always begin with the same story. I was in school and we sat on the floor. We had long lectures. We sat like this. Or you could move. You didn't have to sit like this. But we sat on the floor for somewhere upwards of 8 hours for lectures. And she had all these amazing doctors from all over the state, nutritionists, motivational speakers, foot doctors, bone doctors, just all these people that specialize in what is very important to us now as yoga teachers. And I remember sitting there, I had a good friend, Megan, and she sat next to me, and just in my mind, I would look at her, and I was reading her mind, and you get really tired in yoga teacher training, and I would think, why are we sitting on the floor? Why can't we get folding chairs? I have a bad hip, so at this point I definitely was feeling it, and while I'm in my head complaining about not having a chair, I'm missing all of this key and really important things. And so we went on a break, and my teacher, being my teacher, like she could read my mind, she said before the doctor started back up, she said, I want to take a moment and tell you a story. And she went on to tell us about this girl that takes her yoga classes, and she comes in a wheelchair. And the first time she went in, of course, everyone wanted to run to help her, and she said no, with a big smile on her face. No, I'll get down on the mat, even if it takes me half the class. I just don't want to disturb anything. I'm perfectly happy to be here. And she would use straps and get herself down onto her mat and practice as best she could and get herself back into her wheelchair. So there was zero suffering there. And that was my teacher's message. And whether she could tell that I or the other people in class were suffering because we had to sit on the floor, I have no idea. And that's how she introduced to us the difference between pain and suffering. I didn't know there was a difference. I was raised that if something wasn't wrong, something was wrong. So there was always, pain and lots of suffering, and I just thought they were one and the same. So with this lesson, whether you've heard me say it before, or you're already aware of this, or this is the first time you've heard this, this was an aha moment for me. It was something that I was completely ignorant to, and now it has changed my life. Really, the only time I think about my hip is if I do, like yesterday, I did a real vigorous power yoga. I can feel it, or when I talk about it, when I sit here and I give this lesson, I can feel my hip because I'm focusing on the pain in my hip. Other than that, it's pretty much dissolved and gone away. And maybe part of that is due to the yoga, and I think a big part of it is due to the fact I took its power away. I stopped suffering in it. So I'm going to move on, and I like to read so I stay focused. I just want to also say suffering isn't just a physical thing. Holding a grudge, being angry, things that no longer serve you. With yoga, we're peeling these layers of the onion away and getting this stuff, letting go of the stuff that doesn't serve us. And if you can maybe bring that through your practice today, think of something that just doesn't serve you, whether it's physical, emotional, maybe it's a food, it's anything. So maybe let go today of something, and I'll remind you when we ground. But I want to continue on with suffering. So this will be homework as well. So the homework will be, as you go about your day, pay attention to the phenomenon of suffering. How do you detect it in yourself and in others? You'll see it in others way before you see it in yourself. And also, try not to judge yourself. I did in the beginning. I was pretty, I don't know what, angry with myself that I had no idea. But now that I understand that you don't know what you don't know, it's fine that I didn't know that. So I'll continue on with that. That's why I read, so I don't go off on tangents. So again, detect it in yourself and others. Where is it most obvious? Where's the milder forms and where are the more intense forms? So suffering's everywhere. You see it in people's faces, you hear it in their voices, you see it on the news, social media. As you study suffering, you can hear it in your own thoughts, feel it in your own body, and see it in your own face in the mirror. Often people begin this exercise thinking of suffering in the extreme and obvious forms: death of someone you love, children, or victims of war. As this task brings awareness, people discover there's a real wide spectrum of suffering, from a mild irritation to impatience, to rage, to overwhelming grief. We're exposed to suffering not only in people, but also in animals. We see suffering on the faces of those we love, also suffering from strangers on the street. Suffering pours into our hearts through the internet, the TV, the radio. There's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is the unpleasant physical sensation experienced by all human bodies. Indeed, suffering is the mental and emotional distress that's added to these physical sensations. As Buddha studied suffering meticulously, he discovered that physical pain is inevitable, but suffering added by the mind is optional. Actually, it's optional only if you have good tools to work with and apply them diligently. For example, we can have a headache and think, okay, this is a temporary discomfort in my body. Or we can think, this is the second headache I've had this week that's dragging the past into the present. I'm sure it's going to get worse. It did before. That's predicting what's going to happen in the future, like we've been learning. You can't control either of those things, right? I can't stand it. But actually you have before and you will again. What's wrong with me? Nothing. You're a human being with a body and a head that hurts. And then in the extreme, and we all know these people, or maybe sometimes we are these people, could I have a brain tumor? And that's extremely unlikely, but you can give yourself a much worse headache worrying about that. Maybe it's the stress I'm under at work, my boss is impossible. That's casting the blame on someone else. So does mental distress help cure the physical pain? No. It only makes it stronger and prolongs it. You've taken a simple temporary discomfort and turned it into a mass of suffering, so you've given it life. The deeper lesson is if you've never experienced suffering, you coast along life with no motivation to change. Unfortunately, it seems to be true when we're the most motivated to change when we're most unhappy. If we can restrain the mind from running amok and speculating and disaster mongering, looking for someone to blame, then we can just experience physical pain for what it is. Maybe even look into it and think, where is the pain in my head? Is it sharp or dull? What, and just examine it like it's the first time you've ever had a headache, and you're taking away its power, and then it's free to change and probably even dissolve. Suffering does give birth to compassion. You start to, when you're in pain or distress, it's a perfect time to change the direction from inward to outward with a loving kindness practice. I posted one yesterday on my Facebook, and I do them our first night of beginners, the metta meditation. So, for example, if you're sick in bed with the flu, you can say, may all those who are sick today, including me, be at ease. May we all rest, and may we all recover quickly. In the same way that being sick helps you appreciate good health, we become aware. As we become aware of many kinds of suffering, we also become more aware of its opposite, the sources of happiness. Eyelashes on a baby, the smell of the first raindrops on a dusty road, the slanting shafts of sunlight coming through a quiet room. So the final note on this is suffering gives us motivation to change. Whether the change is positive or negative is completely up to us. Suffering also gives us the gift of empathy that suffer as we do. So, again, trying not to judge yourself, but yoga, our yoga mat is a mirror and it sometimes brings to light something that you needed to know or be reminded of. And so the homework is to notice it in people around you. Not too hard of a task to do. Not a joke, but seriously. And then noticing it in yourself without judging yourself. Just notice if you are and if you're not. And once you're asking yourself these questions, am I suffering or am I in pain? You're being mindful and you're growing and you're learning. So take this as hopefully you take this as a real positive thing to do for yourself. And this is yoga. Okay, all these lessons, this is all yoga. This is all bringing yourself to yourself, finding out who you are without all this stuff. Okay? So you have your homework. We're going to get started. I'm going to put the music on now. The music was going to be a little distracting, but I did want some uplifting yoga music for us, because who doesn't want uplifting yoga music? So we're going to start by centering and getting here now. So eyes either closed or a gentle gaze at the ground. And getting here now. So what happened before you came to your mat is the past and it's done. And whatever's going to happen after you watch this, you cannot control. So we need to get here now. And you do that by grounding and centering and being mindful of the body and the mind. And now probably starting to move into your soul as well. So finding your sit bones and rooting through, picturing the roots growing through the ground. There's always something that's anchoring us in yoga. And I'll mention it a couple more times because it's a great thing to notice. You're anchoring through your sit bones, so you want to rise this way, right? And I'll try to remember to show you when we're standing, things like that. Yoga is a constant. There's something anchoring you, grounding you, and then you're also growing and lifting and opening up. Mouth soft, face is soft, hands are soft. You want to start to think about the spine. So starting with that internal flashlight, shine it on your feet and move it up throughout your body. And again, if you notice a discomfort, a pain, and it feels good, a sensation, just notice it and move along without getting stuck in it, but absolutely noticing it. And then getting up to your mind, seeing where you're at today, noticing it without judgment, just see where you are. And then again, your spine, so you're stacking the vertebrae as best you can, one on top of the other. Hopefully you've been practicing this, so as the weeks go on, it's easier and easier to plug in those muscles around your spine. Notice your breath without judging. What is it doing today? Is it shallow? Is it deep? Are you breathing through your nose? Are you breathing through your mouth? And then we're going to deepen it. So we're going to expand the stomach on the inhales, filling up. Picture yourself filling up. And then on the exhales, either through mouth or nose. Mouth feels really good and you're alone, or maybe there's people around, but you're not in a classroom. So the exhale through the mouth is a real good. And you're hollowing out, shallowing out. So continue on with that breath. And we're really going to start to put the breath together with the movement. All right, so checking in with your spine, deep breath in, shoulders come all the way up to the ears. Bring them back, and on the exhale, slide the shoulder blades down. So big space between your neck and your chin and your chest. As many times as feels good, keep doing that. Do that all day. Do that everywhere. Just you feel different. Next deep breath in, you're just going to drop your head off to one side. Check in with the spine. Again, feel free to move your neck around. breath in, head up to the center. Exhale, drop the head over. And picture gravity sitting on that shoulder and then kind of sitting on the top of your head without forcing anything. So remember, we force so much in life. Yoga, it should feel good, okay? So not jamming your body into any postures or stretches, just breathing, dropping your head forward and just letting your body go. If it feels good, you're doing it right. Good, head comes up to the center, and then if your butt doesn't bother your neck, just dropping it back, opening up the throat, okay? Opening up where you speak from. Speak your truth, and noticing when you breathe how that feels different. Good. Head comes up to the center. 6 ways to move your spine every day. Opposite hand to opposite knee. You get real tall on the deep breath in, and on the exhale you start to turn. And again, we're not forcing things, okay? So you don't want to force this. You want to slowly, like you're climbing a spiral staircase, come into your twist. Head being the last thing to come around. Deep breath in, get tall. Exhale, twist. And if you're coming out from your grounding, from those roots, you're definitely forcing it and pushing it. Okay? So we're being mindful in our stretching. We're twisting, detoxifying, moving around, moving our spine the way that it's built to move. Deep breath in, get tall. Start from the base of the spine. And then twisting, and just picture your spine as a spiral staircase. Good. Laterally moving the spine, so going this way, so you're going to get tall out of your hip, so you feel it in your hip first, and then come on over, leaving a big space here. You don't want to scrunch, ever really, so I'm getting tall and then I'm reaching. And just while you're here, your intention can be something different, but I think sometimes it's good to let go. So if there's something that you can think of that you want to let go of, whether it's candy or it's something mentally, and fear or anger, something physically, anything you want to just shed off today, think about it. As you're stretching, as you're coming into your stretches and you're breathing, deep breath in, getting tall, what is that I can let go of that would just lighten me up? And have it be a positive statement. Like you're already letting go of it, like you're already doing. Okay, you're the master of your mind. You're in charge. Okay, deep breath in, we get tall. Exhale, you're going to walk your hands forward. And when you get to where your body says this is enough, you're going to drop your head, shake it yes and no, and get a nice big stretch. This is probably stretching the low back. Big deep breath in. Exhale, maybe you can walk the fingers forward a little bit more, maybe not. Okay? I'm feeling it in the hips, low back. Make sure you're not putting strain on the neck. And as long as it's not sharp shooting, we're meeting, we're finding our edge, we're finding the part of our body that needs that stretch. Sharp shooting, bone grinding, nerve pinching, you stop completely. But if it's just something that you're like, oh, I need to practice all week, I need to just stretch that part of my body, go for it. Pop the chest out, drop the head back into your first back bend. Breathe. Good. Head comes up to the center. 6 ways that you're moving your spine, hopefully every single day. Coming into tabletop. Fingertips are spread real wide to protect the wrists, pressing into the knuckles, the finger, and the thumb. Okay, that should take mostly all the tension off of your wrists. Wrists are under shoulders, knees are under hips. Look through your knees, make sure you can't see your feet, and you're in a neutral back, pressing away from the mat, so your triceps are engaged. Going into cat-cow, dropping the belly, bum goes to the air on a deep breath in, looking all the way up for cow. And on the exhale, you're going to tuck your chin under, press away from the mat, and curl under. Continue moving through this with your breath. Okay, so we're doing vinyasa. Next week we talk about the different types of yoga. Vinyasa just means to place your body a certain way. So deep breath in as you come up with cow. And exhale as you squeeze the air out with cat. One more wherever you are, because you're following your breath, your yoga. And then finding neutral back. Now, last week we started with the core, and we're going to continue on with this. So, one leg goes back, you're bringing the knee all the way up, 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 and touching this tricep, okay? And if it doesn't get there, that's fine. That's the idea of it. Bring a knee to nose, center, straight back, opposite tricep, opposite leg, okay? Opposite arm, sorry, straight back again. Same. Deep breath in back, knee to nose, straight back, opposite leg. Straight back, release. Other side. Straight back, big deep breath in, same elbow or a tricep. Try triceps, you're going to come up higher using the core. Straight back, opposite. Again, straight back. So we're starting to engage the core, starting to build some fire. You should start to get a little warm right now. Straight back, opposite. Okay? We're also getting ready to bring the leg through. So this is the modification for what we learned last week in the downward facing dog to bring the leg through. So you're going to put the leg straight back. You're going to look to the top of your mat. Big deep breath in, bring the knee to nose, but it's going to come all the way through this time. And if it doesn't make it, that's fine. You can use your hand to move it forward. Now you're in your low lunge. Step it back, try it other foot. Straight back, knee to nose, big lift, up, 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 and over. Okay? So this is where you're going to go if we're up and down dog and you're not going to bring the leg through that way. But I suggest trying that and keep working on it. I've seen people, sometimes it takes them the 6 weeks, sometimes it takes them another 6 weeks, but it's great to try it. So speaking of that, let's turn the toes under and press into your downward facing dog. Now, just pedal your feet out and figure out what's happening in your legs today. So, do you want to just press your heels towards the earth? Or do you want to pedal out? Do you want to feel it in your toes? Are your toes tight? Okay, you answer those questions for yourself. Breathe. And then you're going to put the heels towards the earth. Then I'm just going to tilt my pelvis up. Small movement, but I'm trying to keep my heels down. That's going to cause that nice big stretch throughout the backs of my legs. Engaging the core, so you're flexing it and bringing it up and into your rib cage. My head is dangling. I would come around and push your head down right now. Pressing into the fingertips are wide, pressing into the shoulders, I'm sorry. And you're making yourself look like a V. Now, taking your left foot to the center of the mat, floating your right leg up, three-legged dog. Take a deep breath in. You're going to look to the top of your mat and bring that leg all the way through. And if it doesn't make it, use your hand and help it. Or you can keep practicing in table. That's perfectly fine. That's up to you. So if you're in a class and you see that this is happening, you can always bring your leg through from the tabletop position. Okay, always have options. Other leg, three-legged dog. Heel towards the earth. Big deep breath in. I'm bringing the foot all the way through. And now I'm in a runner so I can drop down to low lunge. Okay? From downward facing dog, look to the top of your mat. Walk your feet to your hands. And slowly roll up, head being the last thing to come up. So let's review everything we learned in our flow last week, and we're going to add the warriors on today. And hopefully you can see me clear enough. So, top of your mat, doing your body scan. So you're pressing the four corners of your feet into the mat. So you can lift your toes up. You're now grounding. Remember I was saying before, you're always grounding from somewhere? Right now we're grounding from the feet, so we're opening up here. If you think of it that way, there's always some part of your body that's grounding you. Flex the quadriceps, engage the core. Flex it and then bring it up into your rib cage. Shoulders are back and down, okay? Deep breath in, arms come up overhead. We're gonna swan dive forward. Come out of the hip. First forward fold. Bend the knees as much as you would like or you need to, okay? They do not need to be straight. You wanna get the C curve in your back. Shake your head yes and no so you know you're not holding tension. Let's move to flat back, which is hands to quadriceps. Elbows tucked. Core is engaged and you're getting long. Like someone's pulling your neck. On the exhale, fold again. Take your right foot, step it back into your lunge. At this point, you've probably figured out which lunge you like the best. Knee down. It just never have the knee go over the toe. Knee down with however you want your hands. Runner's lunge, or you can come up into your crescent lunge, high lunge, okay, and work on your balance. Okay, so whichever one speaks to you. Okay, if your hands aren't on the mat, bring them down to the mat, take the front foot to meet the back, and now we're in plank, getting ready for our push-up position. So we're pushing into our knuckles, fingertips are spread wide, you're pushing out of your heel. If you're doing a knee down plank, that's fine. Your core is engaged and you're pressing away from the mat. Okay, so you're still working on that upper body. Okay, if you're up, you're here. We're gonna come forward on the toes or knees. You're gonna keep the elbows tucked. If the elbows go out, bring your knees down. If you're not, come slow, slow, slow. Elbows tucked to the side of your body. Lead with your chest. So if you find that your butt is getting, or your belly is getting to the mat before your chest is, you're really using the upper body. Coming into cobra, shoulder blades are pulled back and down. Neck is an extension of the spine. And squeezing until you feel really good. Feeding the spine the blood that it needs. Deep breath in, tuck the toes back, pressing into downward facing dog. Right leg to the center of the mat. Sorry, left leg to the center of the mat. Float the right leg up. We're going to step the right leg through. Take the right leg all the way through, up and up and up and up and in. Pick your lunge. See how that brought me right to my lunge? So let's say I'm doing a knee down today. Whatever the one that you like the best. Say I want my hip flexor to get a good stretch today, and I'm going to do a knee down. Okay? And with knee down, you can also see, oh, can I reach my foot around? Starting to play with things. You know, maybe I can, maybe I can't. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to go here today. All right? Maybe not. Maybe you're here. Wherever you are, hands to the mat. Take your front foot to meet the back. Stepping into plank. Now, at this point, you know how you're going to do your push-up. So, remember we also learned you can come all the way down, you can come halfway. So, you can come forward on your toes. If you're going all the way down to baby cobra, go for it. I'm going to come halfway, my elbows are tucked. I'm going to loop my head forward. I'm in an up dog now. If I drop my legs, I'm in a big cobra. Okay, wherever you are, whatever cobra you're in, turn the toes under. Press back into downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat. Walk your feet up, and we're going to reverse swan dive. So hands come behind the back to heart center. Okay? That's where we are with the flow. I'm sure normally by week 4 you guys look awesome. You have it. You're getting that you're breathing with your movement. Wish I could see you. Can't. So, but I have full-blown faith in all of you. So, let's move to warriors. Warrior 1, all right? So I'm facing the top of my mat. I'm facing my window, okay? So my hips, I want my hips to be facing where I'm facing right now. The way that I'm gonna do that is my back foot is gonna be at a 45-degree angle, meaning you can see it. So if I turn my foot out this way, my hips are now facing my TV. Okay, that's not warrior 1. So what I want to do is bring that foot around, and that's going to make my hips come around as best as they can. We're all built different. Okay, so that back foot is nearly pointing forward, a little bit of an angle. So to bring your hips forward. My front knee is bent but never going over my toe. Okay? The arms come up overhead, shoulders are back and down. So it's like you're holding a small beach ball. If you're scrunching up, make the beach ball a little bit bigger and press into your shoulder blades. Arms are strong, core is engaged. Warrior one. Okay? Now this is going to make me turn my back to you, so I'm just going to flip around, just stay where you are. So I'm in warrior one still, same foot, I just turned around. Now, warrior two, my hips are going to be facing you guys. So I'm going to take my back foot, I'm going to keep my knee the same way it is. Not changing this at all. This stays just the way it is. I'm taking this foot and I'm now pointing it towards you guys because that's the way I want my hips to go. Now I'm going to check myself out. So the way that you can tell if your feet are in the proper position for warrior two is that the heel of the front foot is in the center of the back foot. So you just check your feet out, and if you need to adjust, just adjust now. Front knee's bent. Now, as I come into my warrior here, I'm getting my hips around as best as I can to face you guys. They're no longer facing this way. Okay? Knee is bent. That's your front knee. The knee that's bent is what I'll refer to as your front knee. My legs. So here's where you would either make your stance smaller or widen it. So I just figured, I can go a little bit further, just scrunching my foot forward so that knee never travels over the toe. You want to pretend like you're inside of a slider. So you don't want to be back here and you don't want to be forward here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if your feet are lined up that way, you should be looking good. Don't worry about the arms yet. So my back foot, I'm leaning into it. Like if I were in class right now, I'd go around and step on the outside of your foot, if that makes sense. So pressing on the outside of your foot, so that engages all these muscles in this leg. So now your legs are both working evenly in warrior two. Hips. Now moving up, arms come out. You don't want to be up here, you want to be down here. Shoulders relaxed. Checking the arms out to see if the line is even, just as best you can. So looks even to me. And then you're just going to take your gaze over your middle finger, your front finger, and turn the posture on. Be real strong in your warrior. Remember what's called warrior. So it's like someone's pulling your arms both ways. Legs are on, you're breathing. Warrior two. Reverse or dancing warrior. You take the front hand and turn it up. You take the back hand and slide it down the back leg. So front, remember, is the knee that's bent. I'm leaning back and I'm reversing or dancing warrior. Okay, this knee stays bent. So sometimes people will come into this and start to straighten there. You want to keep the knee bent so that foot is grounding you and you're pulling away from it this way. See how cool that is, how it works? Breathe. Reverse or dancing warrior. Coming into a side angle. So you come this way now. Arm is going to rest on this leg and this arm's coming up above my head. You don't want to be leaning on this leg. You can place your arm there, but you want to be able to lift it. You want your core to be holding you here. Okay, I know we're holding this warrior for a while, so if you have to shake it out, shake it out. But this is side angle. My knee's still bent, and I'm tall, and I'm reaching. Okay? Now, coming up, back to two, back to warrior two. If I straighten the front leg out, okay, and now bring my body kind of, like, remember that slider that we were in, that pane of glass? I'm just kind of going back and forth in between it, moving my hips. I'm going to stop forward, with that toes pointed, and then spiral my body down. And if my hand doesn't touch the ground, if you have a block, awesome. If you don't, you can grab onto your leg or point your hand towards the earth. If you're good here and your hand is on the ground and you are okay to look up, you want these arms to be equal. Okay? Not an easy posture, so just keep working on triangle. Breathe. Use your core to bring yourself up. Turning to the other side. Warrior series on the other side. So we're going to add this next week. We're going to add this onto our flow. It's going to become part of the flow. So really practice these warriors throughout the week. Other side. Remember, warrior one, my hips are facing the window. Okay, they're not facing you guys. So this foot, if it's pointing towards the camera, then I'm going to bring that foot around and around and around in a 45-degree angle. So now my hips, as best as I can. See, this hip doesn't come all the way around. That's fine. I had the idea of where I wanted to eventually go. Front knees bent, arms are up, warrior one. Okay, just warrior one on the other side. Breathe. Turning to two, I'm going to keep this knee bent. Nothing's changing. And I'm just going to move this back foot. Checking out my feet. So the heel of the front foot is in the center of the back foot. I'm in between that slider. My hips are now facing you. And my knee is bent. Pressing into the outside of that back foot. That's going to engage all these muscles here. Deep breath in. Arms come out to two. Checking out I'm not up here. Shoulders are relaxed, plugged in. Core is engaged. And I'm looking over the middle finger. And now I'm turning the posture on like someone's pulling my arm. So you can hang out in warrior one and be like, or you can be strong, core is engaged, legs are strong, looking over that hand, warrior. Okay? Front hand, knee that's bent, turn it up. Take the back hand, slide it down the back of the leg, reverse or dancing warrior. Okay, notice that leg didn't straighten out. That leg's knee stays bent. I'm grounded from there, but I'm going this way. Side angle, we're coming here. Now think about it, kind of cool. Now you're grounding from that back foot and you're reaching out of it this way. Okay, so be curious in your yoga. And once, you guys are coming up 2 more weeks of learning, so you've been doing it for a month. So once you kind of get the fundamentals of it, it becomes interesting to see what's really going on with your body. But at first, totally get it. You need to just hear what's going on and get the postures. But you will. You're probably already there. Bring your body up, back to two. Okay, now I'm straightening this leg out for triangle. Hips are still facing you. I'm going through that slider. My body's going back and forth. And then I'm going to kick that back hip out. Spiral my body down. My hand does not have to get to the floor. That's fine. If it does, that's fine too. Okay, arm up in the air. If it's in your balance, and if you can right now, and you want to look up and you want to see if those arms are even with each other, go for it. If you're looking down, that's fine too. Whatever feels good is right. Okay, don't. Sometimes warriors, people get real caught up. Just practice them, and you got it. Okay, come on up, back to two. Feet are facing me. Heel toe the feet in. Now, I'm not going to go over those again because you can press rewind and watch the Warrior series again. You can even add it onto the flow. You're going to be like A students. I can't even see. I think you can see my head, but I guess my head doesn't really matter. So, we've covered chair, we have covered, we went into eagle, and we've covered tree for your balancing. Now we're going to do warrior three. This is a more advanced balancing posture, but it goes along with the warrior series, and you guys got this. So definitely doing my body scan, okay, engaging everything to help me. I'm going to press into the left side. You guys can watch first, or if you've done this before, go for it. I'm going to find a drishti. That's something to look at. It's a couple feet in front of you that's not moving. And then I'm going to start to bring the right leg behind me. Okay? If you fall out of it, just get back into it. Okay? Maybe this is where you're going to be at for now. If you're fine here, you're going to keep moving, looking at your drishti, breathing. You're real strong on the leg that you're standing on, and then your arms, if you're ready for it, can come out in front of you. You're kind of looking like a T, so you can fly here. So push away, looking at the drishti, focusing. If you fall out, come back into it, and breathe. Okay, and then coming out. Warrior three, balancing posture. So pressing into the right side of my body. Finding my drishti, something to look at that's a couple feet in front of me. Taking the other leg, I did my body scan, sorry. Taking the leg behind me, going to where my body says I'm going to go today, and each side might be different for you. Maybe I'm going to keep my hands on my waist, maybe I'm going to fly. Okay, and keep practicing. Balancing is practicing. You have all these stabilizer muscles that if you don't balance, you can hold it there as long as you want. If you don't use them, you lose them. We need to use those stabilizer muscles. Okay, so that's warrior 3. We're going to take it down onto the mat, and we're going to go over chaturanga again. So this is when you're in class and they say take a vinyasa. A vinyasa is this part of it. It's going through that this. So if you were knee down, you come forward on your toes, on your knees. You're keeping your elbows tucked. You're either going to come all the way down or halfway down, pressing back into a downward facing dog. That's a vinyasa. So teachers will say it's optional if you want to take one, or you can take a child's pose if you want a rest. Actually, take a child's now. That feels good. Child's is either wide leg or knees together. Your glutes are going towards your heels, doesn't have to be there. Your head is towards the mat, doesn't have to be there. Nice stretch of the low back. Come on back up, and we're going to go through that again. So if you do have the upper body strength and you're here, you're up in a high plank, you're coming forward on your toes. My elbows are staying tucked, they're not going out. Tuck. I'm going to come halfway, loop through, up dog, down dog. Okay? Now just bring it all the way down. Shoulders back and down. We went through the difference of Sphinx and Cobra. Cobra is when baby cobra is when your hands are back here. Sphinx is when your elbows are next to your chest. Hands are next to your chest. Cobra. I'm sorry, Sphinx. So Sphinx is more restorative. We can stay here for longer, feed the spine everything that it needs, and strengthen the muscles around it. But you can do this for a while. Okay. So if it's available to you, grab onto your foot. If you cannot do this, if you don't have the strength in your quadriceps yet, get a belt or a strap and put that around your feet, and that will help you get this motion. Okay, so you can pause and do that now if you need a belt or a strap. If you have your feet, we're going to push our feet into our hands, which is going to lift the body up and bring the shoulders back. Bow. Okay, so shoulders are back. I'm lifting up as best I can. I'm trying to keep my knees together as well. And breathing. And release, and just sit back into a child's after that, because that's what your body's going to want to do. So moving into some deeper back bends. You've learned a bunch already, but here's another one to work on. So grabbing your feet or your belt or your strap, forehead's on the mat. I'm pressing my feet into my hands. Press away, and that's going to lift my body up. Okay? And breathe. So big stretch. Breathe. Any sharp shooting back off of it. Other than that, see where you can go with this. Release. Sit back into a child. Good. Let's go over pigeon. So, pigeon is a big hip opener. I get into it, I take my foot here, and then I bring my body here. So if you find yourself really slopping off to the side, if you're not, then you can always, if you have a block at home, put a block underneath your glutes, and it really helps you stay up. Okay, so you don't want to be going off this way, you also don't want to be this way. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So definitely there's a need for people to be like, exactly how is your foot, and is it flat? Just bring your foot in front of you. My knee's here, and I'm up high, okay? Now, if you have the flexibility in your hip and it doesn't hurt, bad pain, you can come down onto your forearms and drop your head. And if this is still fine for you, you can come all the way down onto the mat. Now this is great for sciatic, so if you have people you work with or friends or relatives, now's a great time to share some of this stuff. And if someone that you know has sciatic pain, this is a wonder for it. Also, great hip opener. And I use this when I teach my yin yoga, when we hold this and we try to release. So every exhale, say release. So the bigger muscles, the big bossy muscles, kind of step aside for a minute and let us stretch that connective tissue, smaller muscles. And remember, with hips, you might be holding some stuff in there, some emotion. So if you get mad or sad or happy or whatever it is, it's totally normal. Like I've cried in pigeon before, I can't tell you how many times. So it's normal. It's like sweating. Good. And you can hold these for as long as you want and do them as much as you want. I know Jen loves these, and I love that she loves them. Sometimes it's not available to you, and if it's not, send me a message and I will give you modifications for it, okay, until it is. Sometimes our hips are real tight, or there's an injury, or it hurts our knees, or whatever it is. Just let me know. I'm here for you guys. So other side, I just rolled off onto my butt, and then I switched legs. Okay, and then coming down. And then if you feel okay there, coming all the way down. So I'm gonna stay up. I just felt sharp shooting. My hip doesn't like that today. You need to listen to your body, and it's not a contest. It's really what feels best for your body. And breathe. Exhale, say release, let go. Maybe you're clenching your glutes or your hamstrings and you're not even aware. Your body's doing that. It's not sure what the heck is going on. So you need to tell your body, we're fine, let go. Let me get behind that huge, your hips are the biggest joints in your body. We need to get behind that hip joint. And rolling off to the side, taking coming onto your back. Sorry. Bringing your knees into your chest, giving yourself a hug. Shoulders relaxed as best you can, and whatever feels authentic to you, go for it. The circles. Sometimes if you keep moving in a circle, you find like a little disc in your low back, like a round, like a frisbee size, and you can kind of just roll on that, and you might find like a tight muscle. Reverse it if you're doing that. Just whatever feels good. Sometimes you want to rock back and forth. Maybe you want to take a happy baby. Whatever it is right here that you want to take, go for it. Feet are flexed though. And I don't have a wall to show you legs up the wall, but get yourself, I can kind of show you on these baskets, get yourself as close to the wall as you can. You don't have to get in this way, it's the easiest. Your butt is you're on the side, and turn your body so your legs are up your wall. And now if you have to, scrunch till your butt is hitting it. Okay, now just let everything relax as your legs are on the wall. Hands at your side. So stay there, and I'm going to explain to you what's happening. So legs up the wall. I love it. It's a great way to, if you're on your feet all day long and the blood has been going down to your feet and hasn't had a chance to circulate this way, it's taking all that, sometimes when your feet are swollen, your ankles are swollen, legs up the walls, amazing. And if you're laying, you should be laying in that posture right now. Even go so far as to you can feel the blood feeding the other parts of your body that need it. I read that way in bed. Sometimes I will just grab it and sit like that. It's great for insomnia. It's great for stress. It's if you know anybody, or if you have heart problems, high blood pressure, your body uses the least amount, your heart pumps the least amount that it has to in any other way that you can sit or stand or lay down in legs up the wall. And you'll feel your breath start to come down and relax. Okay? You can close your eyes. Feel free to stay here as long as you want. It's just a very relaxing posture, but it's also doing great things for your body. And it can be super restorative. So after you've kept practicing those warriors, grab legs up the wall. All right, from here, I just want you, if you're not relaxed in this position, if it's not something that you love, which a lot of people don't, that's fine. You can grab your mat and lay flat and take your Shavasana there, but just want to also show you things don't always have to be the same. Sometimes when I teach, I do things completely opposite and backwards, just to show us how we all get into these habits. Beginners, I keep it the same way for a reason, but you don't always have to just be laying flat on the mat. If that's where you're most comfortable, go ahead and take your Shavasana there. If this feels good for you, relax your body. Let everything go. And if in the beginning you said that you were going to let something go, whether it's during the practice or just off the mat, you remember that resolve or that intention. See what happens there when you let something go that no longer serves you, something that you don't need to carry. That's why yoga is so fantastic, just peeling the layers off, letting go. Say something kind to yourself, or if you have your mantra or your intention for today, any of those things, plant it in your heart. Take a deep breath, breathe it in, plant it there, and namaste. Homework, guys, is to notice suffering in yourself and others. See what comes up. I hope you were meditating this week. I hope you tried. Continue on if you did. If you didn't, maybe watch last week again. And it's a great time to learn things and practice. And practice if you're here and you're all caught up, practice the warriors, maybe add them into the flow. And next week, we're going to talk about the different types of yoga and also add on to the flow because we're getting there. All right, guys, have a great day.